everybody and welcome back to my channel. My hair looks like a bird's nest, but it's just naturally curly and frizzy, so I'm sorry about that. Ignore the state of me. I just thought I would quickly jump on and film a little face-to-face introduction since you've probably not seen my face in weeks. But today's video is going to be a little bit different. It is going to be 5 photos with disturbing backgrounds. I thought I would just switch it up, but let me know what you think of today's video. As always, enjoy and stay safe out there. And if you want, you totally don't need to, but like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to hit my biggest goal, which is 500. We're almost at 400. And make sure you stay tuned for future videos. When you first look at this photo, you see a father and a son sharing a happy memory together on what appears to be a nice sunny day out and about in the nearby town. However, this happy looking photo marks a very tragic yet important piece of Irish history. This photo was taken on the 15th of August 1998 on Market Street in the town Omagh in Northern Ireland. The man and child, unbeknownst to them, were standing beside a red Vauxhall Cavalier car, which contained a bomb. Just moments after this photo was taken, the bomb went off, killing 29 people and injuring 220 others. The camera was later discovered in the rubble. According to reports, the man and the child survived the blast, but the photographer did not. The Omagh bombing was carried out by a group that called themselves the Real IRA, or the Real Irish Republican Army. They were a splinter group of the Provisional Irish Republican Army, and they opposed the IRA's ceasefire and the Good Friday Agreement, which was signed earlier that year. This bombing was the deadliest and most damaging attack to have occurred during the 3-decade-long civil conflict known as the Troubles in Northern Ireland. Charges were dropped in 2016, therefore no one has been charged with the 29 murders. This horrifying and creepy image is sadly not from a horror movie. This was the mask worn by Edward Pennell, who is nicknamed the Beast of Jersey. He was a notorious sex offender who terrorized the Channel Islands of Jersey. He terrorized Jersey for 11 years, starting from 1960 and ending in 1971. He entered homes at night wearing this terrifying mask and wig with a nail-studded jacket and wristlet. Pennell would attack women and children. He pre-planned his attacks, sometimes years in advance. Pennell would photograph homes that he knew children lived in. He would keep these photographs as trophies of his crimes. Pennell knew the properties so well. He knew exactly which room to target. He knew how not to wake up the occupants, and he knew each entry point and exit. Furthermore, when he was committing these crimes, he would speak in an Irish accent and drop cigarette packets. He would also give random and misleading information about himself to his victims. In reality, these were all just red herrings to lead the police away from his trail. He was a native Jersey and a non-smoker. On November 29th, 1971, it took just 38 minutes for a guilty verdict to be reached against Pennell. He was released in 1991, but later died of a heart attack in 1994. On the morning of July 2nd, 1951, in St. Petersburg, Florida, Mary Reese's landlady went to the old woman's apartment to deliver a telegram and noticed that her door was warm to the touch. Upon entering, she found Reese almost completely reduced to a pile of ashes, lying on the scorched remains of her chair. A part of her left leg and her skull, which was shrunken far beyond its normal size, were all that remained. Local authorities were unable to determine any cause of the blaze, and the rest of the apartment was largely not affected by the fire damage. Due to the mysterious circumstances of this case, it has been suspected that Reese was a victim of spontaneous human combustion. Allegedly, there has been more than 200 supposed cases of spontaneous human combustion that have been reported worldwide. The authorities sent material from the apartment to the FBI lab for chemical analysis. The FBI determined that Reese's death wasn't the result of spontaneous human combustion. The FBI believed that Mary Reese's own body fat provided the fuel for the fire that consumed her body after possibly lighting a cigarette and falling asleep. The FBI's explanation definitely has certain logic to it. However, it only provided a partial explanation, as certain anomalies remained. For instance, there was a pile of newspapers stacked next to Reese's chair that remained completely unscorched. The actual cause of the fire still remains a mystery. On October 29, 2013, a crew of 4 engineers in the Netherlands were conducting a routine maintenance check on a 220-foot wind turbine when it suddenly caught fire. When the fire broke out, it almost immediately engulfed the only escape route, which was the staircase leading into the shaft. Although 2 men were able to reach safety in the staircase, 2 of the crew, aged 19 and 21, became trapped on top of the fiery turbine with no way out. In this photo, you can see their final moments. They appear to be embracing each other, giving one last hug. Instead of succumbing to the flames, one of the men decided to choose his fate and jumped down. His body was later discovered in a field next to the turbine. The other victim's body was found on top of the turbine by a firefighting team that once arrived when the fire died down. I think what makes this photo so sad is 1, their age, and 2, can you just imagine what they were thinking and feeling in their last moments, seeing the fire getting bigger and closer to them, and having to make that decision to either be burned or to jump. I think that's just horrible. This photo was taken by Alice Harris in 1904. The man in the photograph's name was Nasala. In her book, Don't Call Me Lady, the journal of Lady Alice Seeley Harris, the author wrote, he hadn't made his rubber quota for the day, so the Belgian appointed overseers had cut off his daughter's hand and foot. Her name was Boali, and she was just 5 years old. After torturing her, they killed her, but they weren't finished yet. Then they killed his wife too, and because that didn't seem cruel enough, they cannibalized both Boali and her mother, and they presented Nasala with the tokens, the leftovers, from the once living body of his darling child whom he loved so much. His life was destroyed. All of this filth had occurred because one man who lived thousands of miles across the sea, one man who couldn't get rich enough, had decreed this land was his, and that these people should serve his own greed. This man was King Leopold II of Belgium. He massacred an estimated 10 million African people by cutting off their hands, heads, and even lower regions, and flogging them to death, starving them into forced labor, holding their children for ransom, and burning villages. He committed such imaginable atrocities without even setting foot in Congo. The Anglo-Belgian India Rubber Company exploited the natural rubber found in the Congo Free State. This came at a cost to the lives and human rights of those who could not make the rubber quota or pay the tax, with dismemberment, imprisonment, floggings, and other brutal punishment. That is the end of today's video. Let me know if you want me to do a part 2 of this, but make sure you stay tuned for future videos. Stay safe out there, guys.